Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Divine Diva. And my guest for today is Elizabeth. So, welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much for having me.
I would love for you to introduce yourself and let people know what you do and who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Elizabeth Plancon, and I'm an intuitive soulpreneur, mentor, activator, and healer. And I specialize in mindset, manifestation, and spirituality, and really helping those who feel this call to a greater purpose, to serve others with their work, step into their purpose, become activated in their purpose, in their gifts, activating their innate gifts, and really helping them start the process of being of service of others, starting their business, or really just becoming activated in that, so they can serve and help others, and activating them to their next level.
Mm,
We tend to start at a certain point, and as many of you know, on the spiritual journey, we continue to grow and evolve. And so I'm here to help others do that as well, so that they can fulfill their purpose and help elevate this beautiful world we live in, and help
mm,
raise the vibration and the frequency of the world.
mm. Oh, I love it. And I think that's what empowered women would like to do, right? To empower other women to feel the same way.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of undescribable sometimes, but it is so powerful to be in living in your purpose and be living in your power, right? Like, in
Mm,
being able to step in and do what you came here to do, and the level of fulfillment through that is so worth everything, right? The
yeah.
money that you may receive from your services is a byproduct of what it is that you're actually doing. But being able
Mm.
to help others through your work, there's nothing like it.
I couldn't agree more. And
Yeah.
I would love to know, to you, what qualities does a divine diva have in your mind?
A divine diva is someone who is, not afraid to speak her truth,
Mm,
not afraid to stand in her authenticity and true power, and really, be out in the world with what they're here to do unapologetically, right? And
right.
really being able to show up in the world with everything that they are here to give.
Mm. And I think the word authenticity is really key here because I think for a lot of women, being that authentic self is not something that really comes natural to us. Or, of course, you're born with that, but then as you grow up, you learn to adapt or to portray a certain kind of person that you think is more acceptable in society. So, how do we find that authenticity?
I think it really is just understanding, at least for me, understanding and trusting that I have these gifts, I have this purpose, I have these abilities for a reason. And
Mhm.
they came from, source, spirit, guide, whatever whatever you resonate with, right? God. And not comparing yourself to other people, right, is a big part of this, right?
Right.
Because I feel like a lot of people sometimes, when they come into their purpose, right, they have doubts and insecurities and imposter syndrome, and they're like, well, who's going to listen to me, and
Right.
who am I to help these people with these things, when there's so many other people doing these types of things, and they're so much further along than I am. So I
Mhm.
really think it takes having that confidence in your abilities, and you've always had them. It's just that you're remembering now and they're becoming activated within you at the perfect time, when you're ready to step out into the world and do these things that you're meant to do.
Mhm.
And there's always like someone to help at every single level. So those
Right.
people that have been doing this for many years, or longer than you, if you want to compare, there are clients for them at their level. Those other clients may not be for them, that are just starting off too, right? So as we evolve and grow, so does who we're here to help too, at the
Mm.
same time. Sometimes you're
Right.
here and you help the same people your entire life, and that's beautiful, right? And that's
Right.
your purpose. But just
Yeah.
understand that your work is needed at every single level, because there are, I don't know, almost 8 billion people now in the world. I don't even know what
Yeah.
we're up to, but like, one light worker can't help every single person. So
Yeah.
just know that you are needed, your work is needed, no matter what level you're at.
Hmm. And I think also I'm a light worker myself as well, so are you. And it can be quite overwhelming, to have these gifts that you're still a bit unfamiliar with. Like, I'm a claircognizant and clairsentient, clairaudient, and that can be a bit scary. So how do you guide women into actually not be scared of that, but embrace that and see that as their unique and divine self?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I've always been fascinated with the world of, psychics and
Hmm.
mediums, and those abilities have always been so intriguing to me. And I've always like, oh gosh, it would be so cool to be able to do that, right?
Right.
But for other people, it could be very scary, like, based on how they were raised and if they have beliefs that, about those abilities, if they're, some people believe that they're evil in nature, and also like being able to have this big mission can be scary too.
Hmm.
But just know that like your soul, your higher self knows what to do.
Hmm.
Like it knows how to take care of you, and you will always be divinely supported and guided if you trust in that.
Hmm.
So really just it goes back to leaning on faith and, taking that leap, taking that jump and opening up yourself and almost surrendering your
Hmm.
ego self, right? And
Right.
stepping into your higher self, becoming that true and authentic version of yourself so you can serve the world because you're here for a greater purpose, and over
Hmm.
time you will see that. So, embracing knowing that you're special, right?
Hmm.
Like you're very special. You're one of the chosen ones that like get to help people, and that's such a
Right.
gift in itself.
And I think, because you mentioned the word surrender, I think that's the tricky part for a lot of people because what is it you actually surrender to, right? Okay, you surrender to the divine and to your higher self and to almost like an inner knowing. But I think that's also, kind of the scary part. Like you surrender to something unseen, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, for me, it comes down to faith, what I choose to believe to be true. Because whatever you believe to be true will be
Mm-hmm.
true. So if you believe that if you surrender, that you're, now vulnerable to lower energies or evil energies or things that are going to harm you,
Mm-hmm.
then yes, that will be your truth, right? But if you believe that you are so much stronger than any lower energy out there because
Mm-hmm.
higher energy, higher frequency is more
Right.
powerful, you are untouchable,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, I think a lot of people fear the unseen because they can't, see it like actually happening to them.
Right.
But knowing that you, even as like a human, right? You are so much stronger being in a human body than you are in energy over here that, may be trying to come into your energy. And at any point in time, you can cleanse it away. You can, return the sender,
Right.
clear the energy out, call your energy back cleansed and whole. So there's so many different things you can do to create that, energetic hygiene and, protecting yourself and your energy.
Yeah, and that also links in with manifestation, of course, because you said everything is energy, and what you think in your mind, you create on the outside, basically. So, as also someone who focuses a lot on manifestation, do you think we all have the ability to manifest whatever we desire?
Of course, yeah, because we are all manifesting all the time. I
Hmm.
think that's a big, it's a myth that a lot of people think that they have to do certain things to manifest, when in
Right.
truth, we're always manifesting. So we call it, purposefully and manifesting, or manifesting with intention, where you're actually consciously creating your reality, not passively, right? You're not just allowing things to happen to you and, just you're kind of dictating what it is that you perceive to be true, what it
Mhm.
is that you decide is going to be for you and what is not going to be for you. Now, you
Mhm.
can't control outside circumstances, but we get to control how we think about things, how we feel about things, and what beliefs we hold true. And that
Mhm.
is what changes your reality and changes your perception.
Mm. And I think what I always hear when it comes to manifestation is like an essential part of manifestation and having that desire come to you is letting it go. How can you explain how that works?
Yeah, so detaching from the outcome, right? If we are like trying to control and make something happen so much, we're actually pushing it away. We're causing resistance because we're in the energy of need, and we're in the energy of, I don't have this thing. So we're doing
Right.
everything in our power to get it to come to us. Well, the
Mm.
universe does not respond to the things that we actually want. Like it doesn't know the difference between what we want and what we don't want and good and bad. it just responds to what the energy that we're in. So
Hmm.
what we're a vibrational match to. So if you're constantly thinking about how I don't have this thing, that's what the universe thinks is what you actually want.
Right.
So it's like, oh, you don't want this? Okay, we won't bring it to you then. We're going to keep it away, right? Because you're creating this
Right.
resistance between this thing and you want because you're so attached to it, right? Like
Right.
you're so wanting it so bad that it's actually pushing it away. But now when we detach from the outcome, for me, what that means is I would love this thing to come in my life, but
Hmm.
I'm okay if it doesn't, right? Like
Right.
I'm happy now. I'm at peace now. I feel abundant now. Of course, I would love more abundance to come in, but
Hmm.
I'm okay if it doesn't. And
Right.
usually, when you do that, the universe is like, oh my gosh, you're in the energy of abundance. So
Right.
you're a vibrational match to abundance. We're going to send you more abundance. And then more and more comes in. And actually, more often than not, something better ends up coming in, something you didn't
Right.
even know that you wanted
Hmm.
because you can't see the whole picture, but your
Hmm.
higher self in the universe can. And
Right.
so they know, well, actually, you want this, but we've got something better over here. So we're going
Yeah.
to send that to you instead.
Right. And I know gratitude is one of the highest frequencies that you can be in
Yeah.
energetically. Are there some other examples you can give?
Yeah, love. Love is like I think one of the high, I think if not the highest frequency that you can be in, right? Like it's at the top of the chart is like
Right.
love. So being in a state of love rather than judgment,
Hmm.
right? Being in a state of love instead of anger. So this goes a lot of times, when we're thinking about situations or people, relationships, right? Instead of coming from judgment, how can we come from compassion? How
Hmm.
can we come from love? And this goes for yourself too, right?
Right.
If you find yourself talking bad to yourself or just not so nice, how can you flip that to love? Because when you're in that higher frequency, you begin to attract things that are of a higher frequency, such
Right.
as money, right?
Right.
Money is a high frequency energy. And that's
Hmm.
all money is energy. It's just a tool. The pieces of paper are just a tool, but the money
Right.
coming in is the energy and it's a higher frequency. So
Hmm.
by being in gratitude is a great example because when you are, sitting there and, doing your daily gratitude, saying the things that you're grateful, you're in this energy of gratitude, your vibration is high, and the universe hears this and it's like, oh man, they're so grateful for all the things they already have in their lives. We're going
Hmm.
to send them more things to be grateful for.
Right.
And so you
Yeah.
get more things to be grateful for when you're in that energy of gratitude.
And when you aren't feeling so grateful and you're a bit more in a, lower vibe or lower frequency, what are some ways that you can lift that frequency up to a higher one?
Yeah, I think it's important to, recognize that you're not going to be in high frequency 24/7.
Hmm.
It's just not possible and it's not what we're here for anyway. We're supposed to
Right.
experience all the levels, all the frequencies and vibrations of life, right? Of being a
Right.
human. So, not being hard on yourself is first and foremost, right? A
Hmm.
lot of times when we're practicing manifestation, we can beat ourselves up for being in a bad mood or having a bad day or having negative thoughts.
Right.
But instead of putting judgment to it, right, look at it as, well, what are these thoughts and emotions trying to teach me right now?
Hmm.
Why am I having these? What is this the way for the universe to show me what I don't want? So you can say thank you to the thought, the feeling. I know what I don't want in my life. I know how I don't want to feel. I would love to feel this way. And you can, I release this thought and emotion, with love, right? And, just imagine floating away. That's one thing I do. Another thing to lift your vibration up is move your body.
Right.
Moving your energy, just physically moving your body, whether you go for a walk or exercise or put on some music and dance your butt off, and
Hmm.
just shake it up. You're physically shifting your energy by doing that and you
Hmm.
will find that your energy begins to raise. You can
Right.
also you can also call upon your spirit team. This is something I do if I just can't shake this feeling,
Yeah.
right? I will call upon my spirit team and I'm sure many people on this network know what a spirit team is, but if you don't, we all have spirit guides, angels, ancestors that are around us all the time who are here to help and guide us, but they all, more often than not, will not step in unless you ask them for help. But you can
Right.
ask them for help all the time. So I literally will ask them, angel spirits and guides, can you please help me release this emotion or this negative thought pattern I'm in right now because I know it's not serving me for my highest good.
Right.
And I will notice within 5 minutes that I'm now distracted by something else, or I'm starting to feel better and more at peace. And, I've released it just by
Right.
asking for help from my spirit team to do that.
Because I think that's also quite a hurdle for a lot of women, that they're afraid to ask for help and then allow like abundance to come in or that help to come in. So how can we allow that to come?
Yeah, how can we allow the help to come in? I think it just takes practice. If you're someone that's used to doing things by yourself alone, being independent, holding it all together, the glue, and I'm one of those people as well, right? Like I do a lot in my house on an everyday basis, but I've learned to lean on the people around me and I've
Mm.
learned to accept the help. And this is like I can give you this example in terms of like money, right? So often we feel guilty when someone offers or gifts, right? We
Right.
often when people give us gifts or money, we're like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that. Like that wasn't necessary." But what are you saying right now to the universe? Like you've
Yeah.
asked for more abundance, you asked for, beautiful things and it's providing, but you want to dictate how it comes,
Mm.
right? The how is not up to us. We don't need to worry about the how. We just need to receive gracefully, right?
Mm.
And what if it brings that other person who's giving you that gift,
Right.
or helping you, it gives them joy
Right.
to help you. So really you're helping someone feel good by receiving help. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah, and
You're
receiving it
allowing.
with grace. Yeah.
Right. With grace and not like, there's anything tied to it where, you owe them now or you have to return the favor, just receiving it with grace. And I've had to learn to do this, right? When I have a very, generous family, my sister and my mom give to me often, and I've
Mm.
had to learn to just say thank you. Not like,
Mm.
no, I don't need it. You shouldn't have. Like, keep your money. Like, why are you buying me these things? Stop buying me things. I've
Right.
learned just to receive the abundance with grace and
Mm.
say thank you because it makes them happy.
Right. Yeah, it gives them joy to help you and to give you something. Yeah.
Yeah,
It raises their energy as well as yours.
for sure, 100%.
And it can sometimes even be as simple as accepting a compliment with grace. Like, oh, you look beautiful today. And don't say, oh, now I'm a mess, or my hair is a mess, or, But
Right, right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
just
often
appreciate.
uncomfortable for us to receive those compliments. And you're right, we do try to combat them, right?
Right.
So practicing just saying thank you and
Yeah.
and not always having to return the compliment if can't generally find something that you want to compliment them about. Like,
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. I was at an event the other day and this high school friend of mine I haven't seen in a while. And she's like, "Oh, your girls are so beautiful," and I just said, "Oh, thank you."
Hmm.
Because there wasn't a relation for me to like, how can I return a compliment? You know what I
Right.
mean? And it was a
Right.
little uncomfortable for me to be like, "Oh, I feel like I should be saying something nice to you," but like,
Right.
there, you know what I mean? So I really
Right.
was just like, "Okay, thank you," like, thank you, and just received it with grace.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think like the compliment back is just actually being able to receive it with that grace.
Yeah.
Hmm. And I would love to know, what is your favorite way to connect with the divine?
I love just, really just tuning in. Like, I imagine when I'm connecting to the divine, a beautiful white light coming down from above, dropping into my head, into my crown chakra, and going throughout my whole body. And now I see myself as an open channel
Hmm.
where I am always divinely connected and guided. And so I don't turn my gifts on and off.
Right.
I choose to be open all the time because I love the higher energy, the flow of energy, the ability to channel just like that. But if I consciously really want to, like you said, feel that connection, I love just imagining that, and I call my spirit team in. I call God in, and I just allow them to bring the messages that I am to receive that day.
Hmm. And how important is self-care for you as a divine diva yourself?
Yeah, I I do self-care. I do, and I'm much better at it now than I used to be, and I could still probably improve. But
Mm,
I think it is very important to take care of your vessel, this human
mm,
body that we have, and your soul, because you can't pour from an empty cup,
mm,
right? We just want to help others and help others and help others, but then soon we're going to be empty and we won't have any energy to give.
right.
So I really do feel like self-care is so important on, at least if not a daily basis. And, self-care could be meditating for 5 minutes by yourself or going on a walk, exercising, right? Taking a
Mm,
nice hot shower. They don't have to be these extravagant like spa days or anything like that.
mm,
But I do things where I'll go get a massage or I'll go to the chiropractor or I'll get a pedicure if I need to, those little extra treats. But on a daily basis, for me, it's that those moments alone where I'm just sitting and meditating, and
mm,
really that for me is my self-care on a daily basis.
mm. Because it's also like a grounding, because like you said, you're an open channel and you intentionally choose to stay open. I tend to close myself off when I have done my channeling, and I intentionally close it because to me it's a bit more like preserving my energy. So yeah, it's also like a grounding exercise to come back to your center and back to yourself, especially
Yeah.
if you're, open all the time, basically.
Yeah, for me, I have very intuitive children, and so for me, it's just easier to be open when I'm around them and home,
Right.
so I can be able to help them, with their emotional intelligence and their anxieties and stuff like that. So it just for me, it feels better to be that way, and I know my spirit team takes care of me, so like they kind of almost like close it off
Yeah.
when it's not like if I go out, I'm always protecting my energy. Like I'm going on public or to a public space,
Yeah.
then I'm kind of closing off and protecting my energy, right?
Mm. Right.
But at home, I'm usually wide open and everything like that. Especially when I sleep, I love to have my dreams. I love to have, I astral travel sometimes, and so it's just fun for me.
Mm. And do you keep a dream journal as well?
I don't. I have it next to my bed because I
Right.
always had the intention to, but I
Hmm.
always have this fear, and I guess I haven't really tried it because I just know how I am. Like if I get up and start writing in the middle of the night, like then I'm going to be up for like an hour and a half to 2 hours, like my mind won't then shut off.
Right.
So, because I wake up often, like in the middle of the night, so it's like when I do wake up, I try to go back to sleep right away because otherwise I will be up for a while.
Mm. And how important is it for women to embrace their feminine energy?
I think that it's kind of a lost thing, right? It's become a
Right.
lost thing, a lost art over time because,
Mm,
especially I feel in society now, women work, right? A lot of women work and they are been brought up almost in this hustle and grind masculine energy, right? And so we got caught up in that for a very long time.
mm,
And I did as well. And so I think it's really important to have that balance, right? The
mhm,
balance of the feminine and the balance of the masculine, and embrace that slowness.
mm,
Embrace the time that your body just wants you to be and be in flow and not hustle and not grind, and
mm,
really just listening to the intuition and being guided to what your next steps are, right? I think
mhm,
it's so important when, especially if you're someone of, doing a service or helping others, to be in that feminine energy. Because when we come from a masculine energy of always doing, doing, doing,
mhm.
that's how we get burnt out. That's how
Right.
we become tired. And then we just stop. We don't want to do the
Mm,
things anymore because we have been doing for so long.
mm,
So it really is important, and both men too, right? I think men to also embrace the feminine energy is so important, which is
mm,
sometimes very difficult for them. But when they
right.
do, their life changes as well.
Mhm. And how important is, especially for women, to incorporate our body into that feminine energy?
Um, I think for me, this has been a learning thing for me to, incorporating my body is moving my body in a flowing way,
Mhm,
right? And really feeling into what it is that your body needs in the moment.
mhm,
And this is something I've had to practice and learn when my body is like literally like it's time to rest. It's
mhm,
time to take a break. It's time to just be, because I can be a bit of a workaholic. Like I could work 10 hours a day if I wanted to,
Mm.
right? Like if I
Right.
felt like I had a project to finish or something like that, I could be in my office all day, but really listening to what my body is asking for. So, like yesterday, my body was calling for rest because I
Mm.
had gone through a soul cleanse hypnosis the night before. And I woke up and I was feeling it, right? It was
Right.
integrating. I was feeling the energy shift. And instead of forcing myself to do the workout, right? To do the exercise that I was supposed to do that day,
Mm.
and to work all day straight, I did allow myself to take a rest and take a break, and it
Mm.
just helps recharge you in so many ways.
Mm. And I think a lot of women tend to be quite hard on themselves. And like when they see like, okay, actually need to rest, they see it as a weakness. Like,
Yes.
okay, learning to listen to your body is also accepting that sometimes it has some flaws and that we can't be that perfect being that always has to do, and just allow, again, that allowing. I think that's an essential keyword also in embracing that feminine energy, allowing that ebb and flow of life to be there without judgment, I think, especially, right?
Well, right. And who said that you have to go, 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 go all the time, right? Like, who
Right.
said that was the right way,
Right.
right? Like, who said that's the truth? Like, that's the best way? I don't
Mm.
think so, right? And to me
Yeah.
anymore, like that, I always say, well, who says, according to who, right?
Yeah.
That go, go, go is the best way. What
Yeah.
if taking a break in the middle of the day is the smartest thing you can
Oh
possibly
yeah.
do for yourself as an entrepreneur? And I get it, because when I first went full time in my business and I
Mm.
felt like I needed a rest, I would be really hard on myself and I would be like,
Mm.
God, I'm lazy. Like, successful people don't take naps in the middle of the day. But you know
Right.
what? Like, as energy workers, like, my body needs a rest.
Mm.
And it's just the way that my body functions, my physical body functions. And I have
Right.
learned to embrace that rather than fight against it, because instead of coming from this place of force where
Right.
you're forcing yourself to do things, now I'm coming from flow and inspiration, which is the more feminine energy way, right?
Right.
And my activities are going to be so much more impactful than they
Right.
would if I was coming from that masculine do, 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 do all the time.
Mm. And it also depends on how you define success, because what is success? Is that just, how much you
Relative.
work, or how many achievements you have on your like resume, or is it actually, having that healthy body and that inner peace, and how do you define success? So I think that's also essential, of course, because to me, like that inner peace and that health is
Yeah,
a lot more successful, if you can say it like that, than just striving in a career like for more and more and more, right?
right, exactly.
Mm. And my final question to you is, when do you feel the most divine?
When I'm serving, honestly, like when I'm in a call with, mentoring, or I'm in a healing session or a reading, I am so energized and so lit up. It's like amazing. And
Mm.
I've had clients being like, "Where are you getting all this energy from?" And realizing that, like, I am just a conduit of energy, and so spirit works through me. And so when knowing that I'm living in my purpose is because when I'm speaking about what I do, when I'm coaching, when I'm mentoring, when I'm healing, I
Mm.
have so much energy. It's just like almost night to day to like what my actual physical human body it does,
Yeah.
when I'm not doing those things. So, and I do try to conserve, obviously, so I can be that human that shows up with energy and everything like that. But
Mm.
it's for me, it really is when I'm serving. That's when I feel the most divine.
Mm. Thank you so much for today, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me.